The Matt Miller Real Podcast. The Matt Miller Real Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the old podcast here. The number one production value podcast. I really think that a lot of the entertainment show business is a lot about show, right? You see all these big podcasts. They have nice studios with signage. I talked about this on the last episode, but show business is about show. You generally want someone attractive, to look at. That's what movies are. Like movies about real events. They'll take real events with your normal ugly schlub, and then they'll put a hot Hollywood actor in, and then you can learn about events without having to witness ugly people. That's the big thing about films. Take any film about something that happened real, and look at all the actors and actresses, and definitely the people involved in the incident were uglier or not of the same race or something else. Hollywood is about make-believe bullshit, and you guys got to exit out of that Hollywood mindset. This is what I'm getting into. You guys sitting around watching movies, watching TV, thinking this is how life is. If you spend, I don't know what people are doing. I don't know what people are watching, but if you spend so much time watching content, I guess you got to go to your job, right? You go to your job, you talk to your people at your job. What do they talk about? Fucking content. And by content, I'm even degrading, great films and TV and stuff, calling it all content. And you go to work, you talk about content, you look at screens that display content at you. Content plays a big role in your life, but are you content? I'm gonna have to keep re-sitting up on this one because I'm getting into the dirty here. But content is the majority. If the majority of your memories are made up of fake existence, of just TV shows, movies, video games, if these are your memories in your eyes, what you're looking at are in the sounds, you're creating memories. And if all your memories are based in some fake reality, you're going to start to think real reality is different. All right? You're not going to fully understand how the world is. Not that I understand how the world is or anyone. Understanding how the world is a whole nother thing. But you're going to be more disconnected from the world. You're going to be more disconnected to the world. The more content you consume, the more you look at, the more you're taking in, the less you're aware of the reality of what's going on. And this is what the elites want you to do, everyone. They want you to keep watching movies and TV shows, playing video games, drinking, anything to keep your mind off critical thought. I don't want to be one of these podcast guys that talks about conspiracy and stuff, and I'm not gonna because I don't have a lot of theories. There's much I don't research. I'm not researching anything. These are just my thoughts. Trust conspiracy theorists. I don't know what I mean by that. It's all a riff. This isn't a script, and you shouldn't obviously trust conspiracy theorists. But my point there is, it's funny to say trust them all. Keep trusting them. They know what's right. But honestly, they probably know what's more right than what you're being told by the government. Actually, no one's right. Use your own judgment to figure out what's going on, I feel like something that happens with me when I talk for a while about things and stuff with people, same with the podcast. I'll start to say things that I don't actually agree with, and then I'll just keep going, and then I'll start defending it because I've already started. But yes, no, obviously there's bad actors making up conspiracies, and there's bad actors, and every member of the government is a bad actor making up stuff. So what do you believe? Everyone, what do you believe out there? But I'm getting way off point here. The point I was talking about is content, displaying content into your mind, having the thoughts of Hollywood writers be your main thoughts, laughing at the acceptable humor that's on TV and such. Is this the life you want to live? You don't even know these people. You don't know these people in Hollywood. You don't know if they're good or bad people. Not that that matters. I think the art can be great regardless of the person, Separate the art from the artist. I'm one of these guys. But you don't know the intentions. Something could be really good and have some bad intentions, but that's okay because that's still human. Everything that's made is still human. And then people worry about AI and shit like that. A bunch of fucking AI corrupting our minds with an even more false reality, a reality on a reality based on reality from reality. AI. What are you gonna do with all that shit? Is this might be a long rant on touch grass. I guess is the internet thing, right? That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't be taking in too much content. Who am I to say? I gamble a lot. If you've listened, I gamble on sports, football, basketball, sports, and I spend a lot of time watching the game, watching athletic men run around, mostly athletic black men running around, because I'm watching football and I'm watching NBA, watching a lot of those guys run around, catch balls, and I'm calculating the stats of these athletic guys running about. And I'm coming to decisions about who's going to win the matches. And frankly, I do pretty good. But anyone that says they're good at gambling, don't believe them. Don't believe me. But I do. Well, if you're the government and you're the IRS, I don't make money. But other than that, I do make money. But I actually don't even really make that much money. I make very little amounts of money. But I'm a lifetime positive gambler in the 2 years. Who am I trying to impress here? But my point is, yeah, I do spend a lot of time looking at screens. But I'll say the difference is I'm not well, a lot of people think sports are rigged and there's some script behind the outcomes. But I'm not looking at what like some writers decided is good. I'm watching the natural state of humanity existing and peak performance, professional athletes. It's hard to say that the artists that we're given in the Hollywood system or in New York or anywhere else that produces vast amounts of content is the pinnacle of the artist. We'd like to think we're only looking at the best filmmakers, the best actors and actresses, but maybe we're not. Maybe we're not getting the best musicians and the best everything. Maybe it's just the ones that are shown to us, and there's some underground artists that we might enjoy more, but we don't have a choice. You don't have to accept you don't have to accept the culture that's presented to you. You know that? You don't have to accept any of it. You don't have to like football. You don't have to like popular music. You don't have to like TV shows. You don't have to like movies. You don't have to like video games. You don't have to like any of this shit. You don't have to like art. Nothing, none of it has to be important. It's something to talk about with your friends and family and coworkers, but you can talk about other things. I mean, what else? What else is there in the world? There's nature, animals. I like animals. Animals are nice, trees and such. Art, big art. I kind of have a weird. I'm an artist. I put out art. I put out comedy art. I try to make people laugh, hee hee. I think it's important to hee hee ha ha. So I try to create art, but I'm also, I kind of think art is mostly dumb. It's dumb shit. It's just a bunch of dumb fucking shit. There's plenty of like art that I love, and enjoy, and I seek out and try to see. But, in the scheme of things, it's dumb shit, People take art so seriously, like it's the epitome of existence. Watching this thing or listening to this thing, and you have to have these opinions on these things, and it's just get your own life, you dummy. Art is cake. It's all cake. What's that fuckface? Well, you ever Hitchcock said about cinema is cake or some kind of quote like that. It's just an icing on the top. I feel like there's a lot of like adopted personalities based off the media. That's a general human, you like this show. You're part of this unit. We're creating communities through the stories presented to us on TV, and those become our communities. We all like this film. Let's all be in a group together of people that like this film. Wow, we're all such like-minded individuals liking this film right now. Isn't that nice? All us fucking retarded fucking fags watching this movie. It was really out of pocket fucking wow, when I put my hand down here and I itch my leg, it looks like I'm kind of like fucking fingering myself on the camera. If you're listening, you can't hear it. But those were really out of pocket use of the R and F slur there. I just thought I'd throw it in there. I feel like any good podcast has those, at least those slurs in them. Those are the acceptable slurs. Those are still acceptable slurs. The R word, R slur, and F slur. We still think they're okay culturally. I mean, people won't people will be like, don't say retard, don't say fag. That's not nice. But like, I'm not saying it to anyone, and it's okay to not be nice too. It's okay to not be nice. I'm making a video right now about why punching down is good and people should punch down more. Punching down represents human equality. If you can punch down towards someone that's like socially ranked beneath you based off how socially ranked people base social rankings, if you can make fun of people beneath you and above you and everyone, that's an equal world. That's the old world I want to live in. I have a dry ass fucking throat right now. This has been a pretty good rant. I don't think I've if you want to know any answers or like what was I talking about? People, watching media that's creating their personality in their life. That's fun. But don't you want to see reality for how it is? You should I recommend stop watching TV, stop watching movies, just go out into the street, talk to people. I don't talk to anyone. This is not advice that I give myself. But yeah, the world's a beautiful place out there. You can walk around and exist. Exercising's good. I know I'm a fat shit, but you feel better after you exercise. I haven't done my normal exercise routine. I'm starting to get ripped here. I can curl a good 40 pounds, fuckers. You can't handle that shit. 40 pounds of fucking weight. I can handle that fucking weight. But yeah, exercise is nice. Hanging out with friends is fun. Working on projects is good. Staying busy. Consuming, which I do consume a lot. I'll turn my angle for the camera. You can see how much I'm consuming right there. My big old belly propping out. I gotta consume less. You should consume less too. How much time are you spending absorbing media? Now, I gotta admit, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like the spoken word. I like when people are off the cuff, just speaking their words. Off the cuff, just speaking their words. That's nice. That's nice to hear. I listen to multiple comedian-based podcasts, and I like to hear, these comedians say their funny laughs. Because, so I've done stand-up for a decade, right? And I've grown tired of stand-up. Stand-up is kind of like, for me, watered-down podcasting. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. The stand-up, there's just, so much structure, and there's so much bending to general audiences is what you got to do, and it's just not been exciting for me lately. I used to love it, but I can see a lot of what stand-up is. There's many ways to take jokes. There's the nice guy way, there's the edgelord way, there's the absurd way, and it's just every time I see any stand-up telling jokes, I'm figuring out the jokes, hearing the sequence of events, the premise, coming up with all the punchlines in my head, and it starts to lose the funny. And I think I'm going to make a web series. I'm trying a web series. Is that even what things are called anymore? A video series, it's the same shit, about jokes and the puzzle pieces of how jokes are put together and ways you can take jokes based off. I'm watching the specials that were nominated for Emmys or other award shows. I've just started. I'm listening to the Ricky Gervais one, and I'm 6 minutes in, and I've taken massive amount of notes about what he does and his humor, and then I'm just gonna watch a bunch of specials, relate all the jokes to one another. I'll be oh, this is a joke like this. He said it this way. This lady said it this way, because there's only so many jokes actually. unless you're doing personal anecdotes. If you're doing like jokey jokes, there's only so many jokes. And then even if you're doing personal anecdotes, I can identify how it's coming out funny, what you're doing. And I just want to get a catalog of comedians and what kind of jokes they're saying, and I'm gonna try to make that. That's a very difficult project I'm working on. All right, now I'm gonna talk about acceptable comedy. I had to take a little break there. My fucking phone is running out of space. I feel like I pay $10 a month for storage, but I don't know where it is. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's for my Gmail. Maybe it's not. I feel like for my phone, I pay a certain amount for storage. I just don't delete things, and you fucking fills up so much fucking space, and it gets me so angry. I just want to talk about acceptable humor, and let me tell you a story. One time I did one of these. So I've done a lot of open mics in my day, millions at this point, hundreds of millions of open mics. I remember one time I was doing one of these feedback open mics, and I did a joke about death. You know, I hit a car while I was drunk, or hit people while I was drunk, and I killed them. And one of my feedback things that someone said was, "I don't like how the joke's about killing people." And I'm like, well, well, then this humor just isn't for you. But that was my feedback about doing it. There's an acceptable humor. One time I was doing a mic in Brooklyn, and they would let you early if they didn't like what we were saying. And I did say retard during this mic, which I think is okay, because as a child, I was put into special education classes because I was a fucking weirdo and I had trouble socializing. So I remember I got put into, sideshow classes for the sideshow kids. So I think that gives me a right to say it at this point. It wasn't because I was dumb. It's because I was too smart. I was too smart to be hanging with all these fucking losers. I had to hang out with the cool kids, which were the kids in the retarded class. Okay, so I think because I have a positive spin and a good attitude about it. But I got lit one time. You get lighted as a comedian because I said retard. They pulled me early from the mic, and up until that point, I was doing great. People love the jokes. The jokes coming out fly as shit, fly as fuck. Acceptable humor. There's your fake edgy humor. Like any humor you see making fun of Christianity, that's the most basic bitch. That's not edgy humor. Everything I fucking look at that tries to be some big profound thing will like talk about Jesus or the cross or God and like make fun of it in it as like, oh, that's the edge. Ooh, we're being so edgy. We're making fun of God and Jesus. Oh, I never expected this. Now I can understand at some point in history it would be edgy because the dominating force of Christianity and speaking out against it, blasphemy could really get you hurt. Get you hurt out there, maybe. I don't know. But nowadays it's nothing. It's the most run of the mill nothing burger. Anyone that's doing something that's like making fun of Christianity, trying to be edgy, you're not edgy. That's not edgy at all. It'd be more edgy to make fun of like Muslims. If you made fun of Muslims, that's a little more taboo, right? If you drew a picture of Muhammad, that's taboo. That's more edgy. That's because certain people won't like that. They'll want to kill you for drawing Muhammad. I mean, who's going to want to kill you for depicting Jesus with a big cock getting his dick sucked off by weasels? No one cares. I mean, people care, but you don't have to worry about murder. It's not that edgy. It's only edgy if you have to worry about murder. Not to say that drawing Muhammad equals murder, because the vast majority of people won't want to murder you. Or also making fun of Judaism, Jews, making fun of Jews. Now, Jews will make fun of Jews, but if you're non-Jewish making fun of Jews, then, might get a little hot water, but these are more edgy religions is what I'm saying. Christianity we live in America, I guess the country is like Christian, right, or whatever. So I guess that's the reason it gets the most lambasted. I don't know if that's the right use of lambastion, but you just see it so much. I'm an adult. I've seen it so much. It's not new. As a kid, maybe you see someone new doing like on the cross jokes or whatever, and you're like, wow, this is so fucking edgy. But as an adult, I've seen it a million times at this point. Go after the other religions, I say. Hit them hard. Buddhism. I guess there's not. What's there to say about Buddhism? Big fat guy. Other bullshit. Acceptable humor. Things in the acceptable humor realm. Like, George Carlin's 7 whatever fucking words. Shit, fuck, piss. Fucking shit, fuck, piss, or whatever it is. That's acceptable humor nowadays. I guess back then they couldn't put it on TV, and it was real edgy that he was able to say these words. Like, oh my God, we can't hear these words. But whenever I hear that 7 deadly words or whatever the fuck, the famous thing George Carlin does, all I can think of is like, is that really all the words? He doesn't say the R slur. He doesn't say the F slur. He doesn't say the N word. He doesn't, like, were those words allowed on TV? He just says the ones that are acceptable. It's not like an edgy bit. Maybe at the time it's an edgy bit, but now looking at it, I'm like, that's what any run-of-the-mill child says while they're singing along to their favorite song, you know? It's not that edgy. That's all acceptable. Swearing is acceptable humor. You add some swears, you're like, fuck Jesus, you know? That's acceptable edgy humor. You're not putting yourself on the edge there. What other acceptable? I mean, I don't know, mainstream humor, anything in the mainstream. Dark humor is kind of becoming unacceptable. It still is. You can still joke about people dying and people don't really get that mad. It's not that, if you joke about specific events, people might get a little weird. Like, but like 9/11, like for example, like 9/11 jokes are still, they're borderline edgy. It depends how you take the joke, but they become kind of normalized. They're not that impressive if you're doing 9/11 jokes. I don't know. Really, the only way to be edgy is just to be racist or sexist or misogynist. That's the real edge, is what I'm saying. That's the real edgy. Except in a funny way, if you're doing it in a funny way. But no, there's others. You can obviously do other things. But I mean, I'm just saying, what I'm saying, not that being, I'm saying that's unacceptable humor. That kind of stuff. Now, I don't condone that kind of stuff in your day-to-day activities. But if you want to say that kind of stuff as jokes, I think it's cool. I think you should do it more. You should be cool like that. And I know a lot of times you listen to me talk, you don't know if I'm being serious or if I'm just fucking around. I think that's good. I don't want you to know how I feel about things, but I think it's important that we say all the words and we make all the jokes. And we never, don't. We don't restrict ourselves. We should just be saying all the words to each other all the time. Every single word that exists, no matter what its impact is on each other. Just keep saying it. Say it as much as you can. Say it because it's a sound that means something, and you can take it how it means. I don't think I'm coming to any conclusions or making any points here. Acceptable humor. I'm glad I have my notebook here. Acceptable humor. There is like, yeah, there's the mainstream humor, and then there's the humor that like people like outside the mainstream. I'm just keep saying the same thing here. I'm trying to collect my thoughts, present you with quality information, because yeah, everyone's favorite comedian is like someone who was like famous, right? Someone that, maybe not, but someone that was on TV telling their jokes and stuff. And even those guys, my finger is all fucked up if you're looking at the video, are doing acceptable humor. Anything you're allowed to watch on TV is not edgy. It's only the stuff you're not allowed that's edgy. That's not completely true, but people will talk about the Oscars and what's his name? When Ricky Gervais did it, and he's like, talking about the Hollywood elites and bringing them down and or whatever, or like when what's his name? Jim Gaffigan called them pedophiles, but it's like he's still going to the Oscars and he's still like and they're still getting presented the awards. And his likeness is being used as something that will engross people into the Oscars and the Hollywood life. So no matter what you say that's like attacking the Hollywood elites as the host of the Oscars, you're still endorsing it by being there, because we're all bought and sold. You're really not representing the edge, the edge of things. You're representing the mainstream of things, and you're doing the whole jest or joke thing. Is this making any sense here? But this isn't to say that edgy humor doesn't have to be the best humor. It depends what you like, but I guess if you're listening to me, you might like it, because I'm a real edgy guy, and I like plenty of humor that's been on TV or movies or TV shows or whatever. I like plenty of that humor, but it's not the epitome of humor, and it's not like whatever is getting like passed through on Netflix still isn't like that offensive. People will say Dave Chappelle's being offensive with all his trans jokes, but I listen to it and it's like, I know it's not offensive to me, but it might be offensive to someone else. But I can tell when something, I can tell when someone else is going to be offended. But my overall message here is you shouldn't be offended. Stop being offended, you fucking pussy ass bitch. Stop being fucking offended, you fucking bitch. And I'm not saying that like a tough guy, because I'm a little bitch. I can be a fucking pussy all the time. I got straight nerves all day. Straight nerves all day. The correct nerves, the straight ones. I'm not sure if actually how I feel about things has been portrayed in a good light here, but I think it's definitely been portrayed in a way that you could listen to it on an audio podcast. Edgy humor. This guy's doing such edgy humor. With the internet, now that's where you find the real edgy humor. The things that you're not allowed to say or hear. And there's another idea of comedy. Whatever I said before, just don't take everything I said as like the exact 100% truth. I'm just riffing here. The internet. Oh, what was I saying? The truth. People say something's funny because it's true. Comedy tells truth to power, true. I don't even think any of that shit needs to be true. Something can just be funny. It's just funny because it is. Like, it's like a fat guy falling, down the steps and dying is pretty funny. And there's nothing really telling truth to power there. The only truth is that if you're fat, you're going to fall down steps and fucking die, okay? And which I guess is truth to power, so it is funny to laugh at a fat guy dying falling down steps, all right? Whether he's black or Indian or even white. I also wrote down on this smut influence on children. Children get on the internet, look at smut, and it fucks them up. And that's just not good. I could probably talk about more of that in a different podcast. I think I've said enough here. More of what I'm going at is just think about media and what's edgy and what's not, what you're allowed to hear, what you're not allowed to hear. I'm not endorsing racist or sexist comedy. I'm just saying, like, in my idea of what edgy is, what does edgy mean? If it's not allowed to be on TV, then it's more edgy. And I'm not saying it's funny. When someone says ooh, that's an edgy comic, what is he constantly edging off, being an edger, almost coming but not. I mean, there's many types of comedy that can be funny. I'm not saying there's only edgy comedy is funny. I'm really drifting off here. I'm really losing my steam here. But I think if your intent is to be funny and not to be hateful, then just say whatever. Oh yeah, let me go back to talking about acceptable comedy. Like, something acceptable, anyone can say at any time. You can say anything negative about anyone white, and then any other, like, like Italian or Irish or Finnish or any other kind of white place you can make fun of. And then if it's not white, it gets a little harder, it gets a little more shaky. If it's black or Chinese or Indian, it gets a little more shaky. It's most acceptable to make fun of whites. If you can somehow make fun of whites, specifically men, yeah, once you get down to women or trans, even Even trans men is a little less easy to make fun of. White men are top tier acceptable comedy. If you can include white and man in your comedy, that's top tier most acceptable comedy. Other than like, if you're joking about like food or something, like, oh, I can't believe my chocolate chip cookies have almonds in them or something. That kind of humor. Scatological humor, shit humor, that's acceptable humor. People love jokes about shitting and stuff. That's all in the acceptable range. Pissing sex is in the acceptable range, but not to everyone. Some people, if you get a little too graphic, it becomes too much. But you can joke about like what's acceptable to joke about. You got to do it from the frame of like the husband's the fuck and the wife's the good person. The husband doesn't know what he's doing. Wife, like a man can never make a woman come. That's acceptable humor. That's what people want to hear. Like, oh, a dude can't make a chick come. That's like reality. Fucking ladies never get to fucking come. That's in the acceptable humor realm. Acceptable humor is like a guy in the middle age talking about getting his prostate checked. It's like, oh, funny, I'm getting fucking finger in my fucking ass. It's like, shut up. You're gay. All right? That's acceptable humor. What else? There's lots of things that are in the zeitgeist of like people feel fine with the jokes because it's all in the acceptable humor range. And then there's all the unacceptable humor. Now, this is only for my observation at the thing, because of course there's lots of fucked up comedy, even in the working stand-up comedian realm. There's comedians, that say fucked up stuff and are fucked up. But I'm just saying what the most mainstream acceptable comedy here is. What other acceptable comedy things are? Just think of all the things that you've seen many times, like anything. If you're like a guy and you're like joking about like being too nervous to talk to girls or like, women being perfect and shit. That's what the masses wants, or so they say. But that's always accepted. That's always accepted. But if you're critiquing, women or minorities, that's punching down. Critiquing, or not even critiquing, or joking about them. Critiquing is the wrong word. Critiquing means reality. I just meant like what's the word? You can just kind of like zagging them, you're gaffing them. Like, what's the word? You're just throwing little gaps. Acceptable comedy, the acceptable comedy world. Do you live within the acceptable comedy world? Ooh, you're not allowed to say that anymore. Ooh, the culture dictates you can't say these kind of things anymore. Oh, hey, that's toxic humor. Hey, you have to live in this zone. Oh, I think toxic humor is it. That's where it's at. You should be more toxic. Toxic humor is like representative of humanity. Humanity, things are very dark and fucked up. And if you're saying dark and fucked up stuff, you're just reflecting the world back onto it. And if you can laugh about that, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. If we can't laugh about fucked up stuff, then what are we even doing? Are we even laughing anymore? Or are we just agreeing? We should do more disagreeing in comedy. Comedians should be more disagreeable. But you can get disagreeable to the point of being cringe. You can be cringe if you're just kind of like, I'm on this side of things. Here is this thing. Aren't people like that? Be funny, and you can be edgy. I guess I'm always thinking about comedy. I don't know if it's that interesting to hear me ramble on. I'm just trying to establish my thoughts here, and I can't. And I'm coming to no conclusions. All I know is I tell some fucked up jokes, and people laugh, so it must be good. So, acceptable humor, it needs to exist. Don't hate on it either. Now that we're here, don't hate on it. There needs to be a general, okay kind of humor for the masses to intake. And that's nice. That's nice to have. There needs to be wholesome humor. I'm not even trying to... I feel like I'm downplaying wholesome humor. Wholesome humor is good. Wholesome humor is top tier. Something for the family. We need that shit. That's more important. That's more important than non-edgy comedy. that's less important than wholesome comedy. Wholesome comedy, because there's not just middle-aged and older people. There's also younger people, and they need to laugh too, and they can't just be laughing at edgelord shit. And I love talking about comedy, and I could talk about comedy for a whole podcast, and I pretty much have. And I'm wearing a red shirt if you're listening, and check in on the video if you want to see my red shirt. But wholesome comedy is great. If you can do some nice jokes for everyone to feel good about, now we're all being chums. I'm going to stop there. I've rambled on so much. I don't think I've told anything too crazy. I'm at Matt Miller Real. Check out my YouTube. Check out my Instagram, Matt Miller Real. You can listen to more or listen to less and do what you want. Goodbye. It's the Matt Miller Real podcast. It's the Matt Miller Real podcast.